you can't isolate at looking at just six packs as being healthy. I mean, you have to understand that that's aesthetics for an actor or like maybe an athlete. So you can have a six pack and still be depleted of most of your vitamins. So it's how you're doing it and how you're achieving it that matters more than just the six pack. The perception of being healthy is a little bit away from six pack in general. It's about staying healthy. I want to be fit enough to lift my children. I want to run around with them. For everyone, their reasons could be different. When we talk about an actor, of course, for them it's role defined if their role requires them to look a certain way. So, as I said, calories are counted depending on everything.
My next question for you is, what is the role of carbs when you're chasing abs? What would you like to say about that?
Again, I don't know, carbs has always been a villain, but for me, I don't believe it's a villain.
Right.
I believe the timing of when you schedule that carb is more important. Everything is possible when you're a vegetarian. Virat Kohli is a vegetarian.
Prime example.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
going all guns blazing at 37.
Yeah. It all depends on who you are, your genetic profile, your gender, or how quickly your metabolism works for you or against you. So it's a lot of work that's done before you even get to a point where you want abs. It's just about educating yourself, knowing how to balance your plate, eating smaller portions if you're out, training a bit harder when you know you've overdone in terms of your eating cycle, making sure you get enough rest, making sure you're hydrated enough. So it's a lot of different factors that go. Like I have a very viral recipe that everybody knows about is my tofu chocolate mousse. It's a very high protein mousse that I give a lot of my clients.
Okay, so welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of The Health Hustle, where we make your health worries hassle-free. And joining me once again in episode 2 of The Health Hustle season 2 is Nicole Linhares Kedia. She's an integrative health coach and a sports nutritionist. Well, in episode 1, we were talking about inside a celebrity transformation, and we're diving deeper, and we're going to be talking about the science behind six-pack, which is why this episode is called Six-Pack Science. And well, my first question for you. Hi, what's up? Sorry. Nicole and I were talking off camera, so we just forgot that we have to do this informality as well. So many warm greetings to you. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode of ours. We are going to be diving deeper, just like we spoke in episode 1. If you've not watched it yet, it's in the description. Please go and check it out. I want to ask you, because there's so much of obsession pertaining to six packs. Everyone wants to get one because they feel that as the summers are progressing, everyone wants a summer board. Everyone wants those beach photos with them holding a surfboard and looking completely chiseled. Is having a six pack healthy in the first place?
I mean, of course I feel like you can't isolate at looking at just six packs as being healthy. I mean, you have to understand that that's aesthetics for an actor or like maybe an athlete, but for you, it has to make sure all your other parameters are in check. Your blood reports are fine. So you can have a six pack and still be depleted of most of your vitamins. So it's how you're doing it and how you're achieving it that matters more than just the six pack.
So Nicole, since you work with a lot of leading celebrities and sports entities, I want to ask you about this. What are the calorie targets that you ideally want your clients to have when they want to target towards having a six pack?
So calorie targets are never assumed or presumed. They're always measured. So it's the amount of output you have, the training schedule you have, the hours of work that you have. All of these are factored in, and then you calculate your calories depending on that. And it's not only actors and cricketers and athletes. It's a lot of any of us. I mean, we all aim and aspire to have a good body. Coming from having twins myself, I gave birth. I put on
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 5 years now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I put on 30 kilos that time. And it was like, for me, I think the perception of being healthy is a little bit away from six pack in general. It's about staying healthy. I want to be fit enough to lift my children. I want to run around with them. For everyone, their reasons could be different. When we talk about an actor, of course, for them, it's role defined if their role requires them to look a certain way. So, as I said, calories are counted depending on everything.
Yeah.
Depending on the entire framework and the ecosystem that you have and need to achieve that target.
Yeah.
So, that's why I said it's measured. Then after it's measured, we put it into place. We see how we can fit it in. See that your training matches those targets, seeing that your recovery is matching. I mean, all of these things matter when you want to achieve something as specific as a six-pack.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you on that. But what I want to ask you about is how different is it for someone to get their abs when they are a vegetarian as opposed to a non-vegetarian? Because my next question for you is, what is the role of carbs when you're chasing abs? What would you like to say about that?
Again, I don't know, carbs has always been a villain, but for me, I don't believe it's a villain.
Right.
I believe the timing of when you schedule that carb is more important. Carb itself is not a problem. So if you're using it to fuel energy for long shoot hours, if you're using it before training, it's absolutely necessary because you don't want to look depleted at the end of it. As I said, you want to get a six pack, but you want to also be healthy. I think that should be your prime goal, should be achieving it but still being healthy, or
Right.
rather being healthy and then that being a byproduct of being healthy. So carbs is not the problem. It's when you use those carbohydrates, how you use them, and how you make sure that it's added at the right time, that matters. So carbs is not an enemy. Coming to vegetarian versus non-vegetarian, of course, it's harder for a vegetarian. I mean, I've worked with an actor who's a complete vegetarian who had to had scenes where he had to remove his shirt off and all of that. But as I said, you have to then, I mean, it's easy when you work with your clients who understand that, okay, yeah, I'm a vegetarian and dal is not a protein itself, and I need to clock in for that requirement of protein. So then we use supplements that we need to use in terms of, like, we add in a protein shake, we add in small tools that are healthy, that are measured, and that help in fitting those gaps of doing it. So is it not possible when you're a vegetarian? Everything is possible when you're a vegetarian. Virat Kohli is a vegetarian.
Prime example.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So
going all guns blazing at 37.
Yeah. So vegetarian is not, it doesn't come as I mean, it is more difficult, but it's not that it's not possible. It's you have to have that discipline to make sure you achieve your target, which all of them do understand and have.
Absolutely. But I'm going to say that to every answer that Nicole gives us throughout the episode. But Nicole, my next question for you is actually, getting abs requires a certain amount of sacrifice, where you have to give up on certain whims and fancies of your regular diet without making it seem that you're sacrificing too much. But I want to ask you, with someone who has a very functioning social life, can you achieve abs without giving up too much on your social life? Is that a possibility?
Again, as I said it, I mean, I've said this before, it all depends on who you are, your genetic profile, your gender, or how quickly your metabolism works for you or against you. So it's a lot of work that's done before you even get to a point where you want abs.
Right.
Is it possible to give up? I mean, social life or not social life, like I'm a fairly social person, but I eat my food at home and I go. So I don't know what you counter as.
I could see those moose jars of yours that you got and we kept in the fridge.
So I mean, it's not choose one or the other. If you want to make it sustainable, you have, like, we live in Bombay, we live in a city. You're always going to have work. You're always going to be distracted, and you can't lock yourself up in a room to achieve a certain goal. So it's building a habit, making the right choices is why education is so important about just understanding foods. I think as Indians, not forgotten. We've overcomplicated a lot of things that are not complicated, and now that's also human psychology, where we complicate things and then we go like we're going back to our roots and we're going back to the basics, because that's what it is. Once you understand your basics of, like, as I said, if you know how to eat and you're educated enough to know how to make your plate, you could be out and you could still be disciplined in how you look at food and what you do. So I even tell my clients, my regular clients, that okay, if you're going out, which you are going to go out, one bad decision is not going to take away from all the work that you put in, because one bad meal can't make you lose your abs or, lose progress in any like sort of health goal that you set. So it's just about educating yourself, knowing how to balance your plate, eating smaller portions if you're out, training a bit harder when you know you've overdone in terms of your eating cycle, making sure you get enough rest, making sure you're hydrated enough. So it's a lot of different factors that go in. So no, I don't believe you need to give up your social life. You just have to understand that you need to make this a lifestyle rather than just a short fix.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so beautiful. And the fact that you mentioned that how you factor in those meals that are probably, outside your usual macros that you're trying to hit. Let's talk about cheat meals. Yeah. Firstly, I want to know, how do you look at cheat meals, and how do you integrate them into your regular diet when you're trying to get those abs?
Firstly, all my clients who've been with me know that I don't know why it's such a bad concept. I mean, I don't know why that concept exists that if you are healthy, your food has to be boring. None of my food in my meal plans are boring, and they don't have to be boring. If I put up a recipe on Instagram and I have a very viral recipe that everybody knows about is my tofu chocolate mousse. So very high protein mousse that I give a lot of my clients. And when they look at it first, they're like, "Oh my God, our house can't make complicated food, but that's easier than making dokla." So
Wow.
It's just about understanding that healthy food does not have to be complicated or it does not have to be boring. So that concept itself has to change. And what was your other question?
My question is, how do you factor those meals into your regular diet when you're trying to get those abs?
I was going to say something like I fully zoned.
No worries. Huh?
Wait. What was it? Cheat. You asked me cheat meal.
Hanji. Reward meals.
Yeah. And second, that was my one reason. And the second, so as I said, healthy food does not have to be boring. It's not hard to make. It's easier to make than most Indian meals that are made at home. And when it comes to cheat meal, I don't believe in terming it as a cheat meal. It's more of I keep telling my clients, it's your reward meal. You worked so hard through the week. You deserve to reward yourself. And as long as you stick to it being one meal, eat whatever you like, eat however you like. The problem is when we look at it as a whole, like, now it's the weekend. But weekend is 2.5 days.
That's correct.
So when you're cheating or rewarding yourself for 2.5 days, that's when the problem begins. But if you're having an occasional meal here and there, you should. Because that's how you're going to be able to do this for a longer period of time.
Well, that was so beautifully explained, Nicole. My next question for you is that I was also talking to you about this off the record, that how getting abs could actually be like climbing a mountain top.
Yeah.
You're not going to be there for too long.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to
I'm saying absolutely.
absolutely. See, she's got the bug now.
Yeah.
And then you sort of descend downwards.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about this because it can also be like making a sandcastle and then the water will come and take the sandcastle away.
It is short-lived. I mean, as I said, the goal should not be abs. It's great to have that as like a short-term target. Like you want to see yourself with abs once in your lifetime. Great. There are great ways to do it now. We have a lot of more education about how to do it healthy.
Absolutely.
But as you rightly said, it's just the tip. You have to come back down. It's about sustaining a healthy lifestyle after. It's about making sure your blood markers are great. You're taking your supplements on time. You're understanding that you unfortunately can't get everything through food, especially if you're a vegetarian. Just more education around food and understanding that the long-term goal is about staying strong and not about achieving abs or size 0. And I feel like all of that is now fading away and people are understanding that I'd rather be strong and I'd rather be healthy than I'd rather aim for a size 0 or just abs.
So true. I want to ask you about this. What would be a sustainable body fat percentage? Because now, like you said, there's a lot more education in the market pertaining to how is it that you get the abs. Some people say it's 15% body fat. Some people say it's 12% body fat. The more you keep going downwards, the more visible the abs are.
Yeah.
What would be an ideal body fat percentage for someone to showcase their abs properly or to maintain it in the long term or cut down when they need to?
I mean, again, I don't want to sound repetitive and boring, but it differs from person to person. And again, if you're an athlete, you don't want to stay at a low body fat percentage. If you're a cricketer, you have to have a body fat percentage 13% and more. If you're an actor, if your role requires it, it depends on your frame, what kind of frame you are. Sometimes it could show up at 11%, it could show up at 8%. If you're an actress, completely different. Or if you're like a female body type, it's completely different. So the percentage keeps changing depending on genetics, depending on your hormones, depending on a lot of things. So there's no fixed percentage that you need to achieve, and that's what it is. It's different for different people.
Right.
The water content in your body, when you ate your last meal, the sodium, it's so much. So you can't.
You can't boil it down to one thing.
And it's different for different people.
Right. And I know you already mentioned this, but also for our listener and viewer probably didn't gauge it. Is it healthy to have your abs year round? Because you have the prime examples of someone like John Abraham who says that he always has his 6-packs ready, as opposed to other people who probably do it for movie preps, a lot of people that you worked with. Is it healthy to have a 6-packs all year around?
No, again, as I said, I mean, I did say this in my last episode that we as an audience, we'll end up just seeing what we want to see when an actor speaks. Like, and Ibrahim, if you look at him, he's just gifted genetically also. It's not like he doesn't put the hard work. He has to work a little bit less hard, and there are days where he could be completely off but still look like a royal blue blood girl.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But there's some people who have to put in a little bit more hard work to achieving that. So it depends on your body type is what I mean, coming down to, again, it depends on your body type. If it's healthy to have it, no, it's not healthy to have that sort of framework. It depends on how hard you've been working to achieve it. If you've been cutting too many calories, disrupting your hormones, depleting yourself, because to reach that kind of body fat percentage also requires a lot of discipline, a lot of cutting of a lot of things. So if that's your approach towards it, then of course it's not healthy. You're looking at an actor online or in a movie, and that's 30% of their life, and you're trying to implement that in 365 days of your life. So
that's a very tough ask from anyone.
Yeah. So it's literally you're trying to ape an actor's body or an actress's body, but try to maintain it all year around. But that's not sustainable, and that's not even healthy.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for busting all the myths and answering all the questions with all of your expertise. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I can't wait to do more of these episodes with you. And I really hope for you, our viewer and listener, I really hope that everything that you wanted to know about six packs has been laid out for you, and it makes your journey a lot more easier. Well, that brings us to the end of episode 2 of season 2 of The Health Hustle. This episode is, of course, called Six Pack Science. And I really hope that all your doubts and myths pertaining to six pack have been laid out, and your journey in getting your six packs is smoother. You can comment down and let us know what is it about this episode that you really found informative. And you can, of course, go and follow Nicole on her Instagram. Nicole, what's your Instagram ID?
Nicole, Linhares, Kedia. I'll be happy to help and answer all your DMs when you send them.
Absolutely. We are also going to be listing down episode 1 of The Health Hustle. And in episode 3 of The Health Hustle, we are going to be doing something really special, because Nicole works with some of the major sports athletes of our country. This episode is going to be called Fueling Elite Athletes on the... This episode is going to be called Fueling Elite Athletes on the Move. And we are going to be talking about how she manages these adaptive diets with athletes who are all over the place but are making us proud. Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe to Radio 1 International, and like I mentioned, please go and follow Nicole. We're also going to be listing her Instagram in the description, and we'll see you in the next one, The Health Hustle, where we make your health worries hassle-free.
94.3 Radio 1.